Welcome to Legal Briefs. Last week we had a bill introduced to pack the United States Supreme Court, and I am going to tell you the two people, the dynamic duo, who are basically to make this bill DOA, dead on arrival. Okay, stick around. I'll tell you who those people are at the end. First, let's talk about the bill. The short title is the Judiciary Act of 2021. And what do they want to do? All right, well, they want to take this part of the United States Code that says this: a Chief Justice of the United States and 8 Associate Justices. They want to strike that out, and they want to replace it with this: a Chief Justice of the United States and 12 Associate Justices. So they want to add 4 more justices to the United States Supreme Court, so taking it from 9 to 13. Now, the United States Supreme Court, it is the one branch of government with authority, respect, and dignity. And we can't have that, can we? So we probably should fix it. The United States Supreme Court has had 9 justices on it since 1869. That's over 150 years. The way it works now, whenever there's a vacancy, the president gets to nominate someone, and if they can get the Senate to confirm them, then they become the new Supreme Court justice. All right. If we allow this court packing, then what will happen is whichever party happens to be in control, they will add more seats to the Supreme Court so that they can, get their way more often. So right now, the Democratic Party is in power. If they add 4, guess what? When the Republicans are in power, they're probably going to add 9, right? And then when the Democratic Party gets in power again after that, they're probably going to add 15. Okay, it's just going to escalate, and I think it'll really destroy the credibility and authority of the Supreme Court. So has this happened before? Yes, in 1937. I remember it like it was yesterday. FDR wanted to pack the U.S. Supreme Court, and an overwhelmingly Democratic Congress rejected his proposal to pack the Supreme Court. There are a number of other people who think this is a really bad idea. I'm not going to be citing any Republicans or conservatives because, of course, I'm sure they are all really, really against it. What about Bernie Sanders? Remember this guy, Bernie Sanders? He is against it. This is what Bernie Sanders said about court packing. If the Democrats do this court packing plan, he said, the next time the Republicans are in power, they will do the same thing. Well, of course they will. The late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg answered this exact question on court packing, and this is what she said. 9 seems to be a good number. It's been that way for a long time. I think it was a bad idea when President Franklin Roosevelt tried to pack the court. If anything would make the court look partisan, it would be that. What about Justice Stephen Breyer? He also agrees with the late Justice Ginsburg. Last week at Harvard Law School in a speech, he warned against court packing. This is what Justice Breyer said about court packing. He said that it would diminish confidence in the courts and in the rule of law itself, which will lead to diminishing the court's power, including its power to act as a check on the other branches. So now I'm going to tell you the first person in the dynamic duo who I think basically killed this bill before it even got started, and that's Nancy Pelosi. Okay, I know a lot of people don't like her, but I'm going to give her props because she got up right after this bill was introduced in her own press conference and said that she didn't support it and she's not going to bring it to the vote in the House. Okay. Now, yes, she also said we're going to wait until President Biden's commission finishes studying this, but how fast she got up and said, we're not going to vote on this. I mean, she did it frickin' 30 seconds with him then finishing announcing the bill. She did it so fast. I mean, I take that as she doesn't want this thing to go anywhere, and it probably won't go anywhere. Now, I don't know that that's because if that's because she really believes it will be problematic to keep adding justices to the Supreme Court, or if it's because she knows the American people don't support court packing. There was a New York Times survey done back in October, and I think it was like 2-to-1 people saying they do not like this court packing idea. Now, what about President Joe Biden? Well, look, in the past, he has said that he talked about court packing as a power grab. And he also described it as being a bonehead idea. I know when we were going through the elections, it was very hard to get him to comment on it. And just last week, he did sign an executive order forming a commission to study court packing and, Supreme Court reform, whatever the crap that is. But I don't really think that means he's really supporting it. I mean, I interpret that as he doesn't want to lose votes from the progressive group who really wants to pack the court. And so he's not going to come out and say, I hate this idea and I still think it's a boneheaded idea. I think he wants to, give them something, which is, I formed this commission and they're going to study it and they'll come back with a recommendation, which is going to be don't pack the court because it's a bad idea. I mean, I could be wrong, but especially when you look at the surveys right now, the American people don't like it. They think it's a bad idea. And I think the more support they throw behind it, it's just going to hurt them in future elections. So I don't think he likes it either. But he's not the second person in the dynamic duo. I almost got you, right? You're like, oh my gosh, is it? No, it's not him. What about in the Senate? Chuck Schumer. Well, last October, when he was asked about court packing, he said anything was on the table. So I don't know. But here's the thing about the Senate. I don't think they're going to be able to get a majority to do this in the Senate. They can't do this through reconciliation. And this is not filibuster proof, which brings us to the second member of the dynamic duo, Mitch McConnell. That's right. I think this is not filibuster proof. So ultimately, Mitch McConnell and a group of folks will definitely be able to stop this in the Senate. But again, I don't think this is even going to be able to get a majority in the Senate. So anyway, my dynamic duo, the people who are already making this bill DOA, Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, Batman and Robin, definitely, I think they've already made sure this thing isn't going to go anywhere. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.